Good afternoon, all of you. I request all the women employees to come forward and to take the front seats. All the women employees, women scientists, all. I request. Please come. Namaskar and a very good afternoon to all of you. I think um, Mrs. Magal is online.
Yes, hi.
Hello. So, hearty welcome to you, ma'am, to NGRI. And today we are here to celebrate the International Women's Day. As we know, every year it is celebrated on March 8th globally to mark the women's achievements and increasing the visibility of their work. So I cannot say that this is a fight for equality. Why? Because according to Sadhguru, the thought that women are inferior to men is absurd. When a man is born of a woman, how can he's be superior and she inferior? So until we as parents teach our sons that only way to be a better man is to respect a woman and not degrade her, that's what then only a whole society will change. So of course we have moved far, and there's a lot of positivity nowadays. So with these words, it is my pleasure to extend a hearty welcome to Miss Uma Magal, today's wonderful chief guest. She is a filmmaker, director, producer, and she is a very inspiring lady to all the women. Hearty welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank
I
you so much.
Thank you. I now request our director to grace the dais and to deliver his opening remarks.
Thank you, Vasanti. Good afternoon to all, and also greetings to everyone present here. Dear colleagues, it is my great pleasure to celebrate this International Women's Day with you all and share my some of the thoughts to you. भगवान वही वास करता है जहां नारी की पूजा होती है. This is what we learn from our Indian culture and our story, old stories from even from the Sanskrit books. But most of us know that the modern International Women's Day, the history traces back to 20th century, when women began marching for the peace and therefore better life. 8th March was officially recognized by United Nations in 1977 as International Women's Day. It is the day we all know to recognize and celebrate the contribution of women in our life and society, also the country. It is needless to say that their contribution to our life is unparalleled. But unfortunately, we all agree that most of the countries, I think almost all countries, have not achieved this standard of the equality or giving the respect to the woman in 100%. The women have not been given still the equality in all sense to the fullest. That's why in 2023, by our United Nations has declared this one as a Women's Day as a digital, an innovation and technology for gender equality. Highlighting, but they have highlighted that the gender gaps in STEM, means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to actually highlighting this gap in this STEM disciplines, and calling for the attention to the online harassments of women. Even though we recognize that the contribution of women is increasingly huge now, massively increased in higher education. But still, if you find the gaps, the numbers are really underrepresented. Therefore, the equality for the women is really a very big problem for our policymaker and also for the United Nations too. Gender equality and empowerment for women and girls is a very crucial factor, key issue. I thought mine is okay. It is a crucial factor, key factor. It is not only for the development of a nation or the society, but also for the target agenda of 2030 for sustainable development as well. With this, maybe I recall just one joke by R.K. Lakshman, that one lady asked him, why you are only writing for common man? Because you see, there are books by Dr. R.K. Lakshman, the common man. But then he replied that men are common, but women are not common. So, with just I remember by saying this. And also, recently I noticed while traveling in a train, because last week I was traveling by a train, and I found that one couple with kids that came into that railway the compartment and sat in a wooden chair, and another person, another couple, wife and husband, they came inside and sat opposite to them. And what I observed from a distance, that the first conversation began between the two women. It is not the man and woman. So this shows, but there is a very inner meaning. This shows the universal brotherhood or universal unity is inherent in the woman, not in the man. The first signal it. So with this, I will not take much time. I will say that NGRI would like to appreciate this year and celebrate the success and achievement of women colleagues in all spheres of our activity. Aligning with our nation's policy, NGRI will also encourage to do the best and to encourage our women researchers from scientific fields, from admin, from all corners of life here to come forward and contribute to their best to the fullest. We must also renew our commitments, whatever we made, to pursue all the opportunity for their growth. Lastly, I am very much happy to share this occasion with our special guest, producer, director, Mrs. Uma Mangalji, who will provide us a very different vision of the Hyderabad rocks. It is rocks, it is the geological rocks, to say. Thank you very much.
I now request Dr. Devendra to introduce today's guest.
Thank you, Vasanti. And it's my pleasant duty to introduce the chief guest of today, Ms. Umaji. Of course, we had a very short interaction with her in the last few days only, but she is not unknown to many of us who are dealing with or loving the rocks. I'll start with one lyrics of one song. सांसों के तार पर, धड़कन की ताल पर, दिल की पुकार का, रंग भरे प्यार का, गीत गाया पत्थरों ने. So it is from the movie Geet Gaya Patthron ne. Long back it was shot. But for Umaji, if I want to introduce her in one line, I can say that उन्होंने गीत गवाया पत्थरों से. So that is the very short introduction of her. So, but anyway, I'll try to read out few of her. As an Umaji, she is an independent filmmaker and teacher working out of Hyderabad and Dublin. She is with us right from Dublin right now, actually. And she is the owner of Fenugreek Productions, a boutique studio for media and film work and training. She graduated from Lady Shri Ram College, New Delhi, and master's she did in political science from the University of Hyderabad. So she has a very good connection to Hyderabad as such. And then again, she did master's in communication from the Mass Communication Research Center, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. So during, after her PG, I think she went to US and spent a lot of time there, wherein she earned a Master of Fine Arts in Film Production from Temple University. And she produced a PBS weekly series called as News 6 for 6th grade school children, taught film and media at San Francisco State and Temple Universities, and served on the boards of Asian Arts Initiatives and Independent Film and Video Association in Philadelphia. She also worked with the Scribe Video Center to teach media literacy and the use of video as an empowering tool, particularly for the disenfranchised communities. Then she returned to India, and then she served as an independent faculty in film aesthetics, documentary production, and Indian cinema at Bengaluru, the University of Hyderabad, and Annapurna Film School. She co-produced and co-directed a feature documentary on theatre, which we know as The Players, which was subsequently acquired by NDTV. She has worked in diverse capacities in theatre as lead actor, as well as in production and writing in Delhi, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad. So you can see that she has a lot of affinity to Hyderabad as such. Then she served as the secretary of the International Asian Film Society that publishes the journal Asian Cinema. She has presented at diverse conferences and published on film and theater for academic journals, magazines, and newspapers, including The Hindu, Tahalka, and the Hans India. Her book, which she co-authored, Rasayana for Children, Joy of Herbs and Healing, on using medicinal plants from home and garden, was published by Patridge Press. Again, recently in Hyderabad, after a long stint abroad and studying, working in film, she has been deeply affected by the, sorry, I missed something here. So deeply affected by the loss of rocks in Hyderabad, actually, because with so much of development, people are destroying the rocks on daily basis. So she was quite moved by this phenomena. And then she put her skills and personal funds into the matter and began to make a film about it. She then approached an old friend and fellow in Hyderabad, Mr. Mehnur Yar Khan, to join her. Uma and Mehnur have been driven by their personal affections and memories of growing up around the rocks. So they strongly feel the need for a heightened and widespread dialogue to save what is left of the rocks in the city. So we cannot recreate what has been lost, but we can still save whatever we are left with. Even as the city grows in response to the compulsions of 21st century urban realities, it can still do so with a sense of balance that retains wisely what is left of a stunning and unique geoheritage. So further, I may add that few of her works, like on the occasion of International Women's Day yesterday on 8th of March, and today also, her film Players is being screened at Kochi Muzri's Biennial as part of a Women Docu Fest in Cochin. This is about a traveling theater repertory called Tirugata, run by the wonderful rural theater space called Ninasam in Karnataka. And as she says it, that it was a real education for her in world-class theater. Her current film, and which is very close to our heart and subject and work, Other Kohinoors, The Rocks of Hyderabad, is on the unique landscape of Hyderabad, and it ties to the area's cultural imagination, and which is the kind of theme she is going to speak with us today. And before I hand over the stage to Umaji, I would request Nareshi to play the trailer of this film, which we will screen soon at an earliest opportunity in our institute. So let's have the trailer, Other Kohinoors, The Rocks of Hyderabad.
कुछ कौसक अजह से रंगत ली, कुछ नूर चुराया तारों से, बिजली से तड़प को मांग लिया, कुछ कैफ उड़ाया बहारों से, फूलों से महक, शाखों से लचक और मंडवों से ठंडा साया। जंगल की कुंवारी कलियों ने दे डाला अपना सरमाया। बिखरी हुई रंगीन किरणों को आंखों से चुनकर लाता हूँ। फितरत के परेशान नगमों से एक अपना गीत बनाता हूँ। फिरदौस से ख्याली में बैठा एक बुत को तराशा करता हूँ। फिर अपने दिल की धड़कन को पत्थर के दिल में भरता हूँ।
నల్లని రాలలో ఏ కన్నులు దాగెను, ఈ బండల మాటున ఏ గుండెలు మ్రోగెను. ఓ పైన కఠినమనిపించును, లోన వెన్న కనిపించును. పైన కఠినమనిపించును, లోన వెన్న కనిపించును. జీవమున్న మనిషి కన్న శిలలే నయమనిపించును.
Thank you. And as I told that at the earliest possible, we will try to screen the full documentary in our institute. And इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं थोड़ा सा और ये कहते हुए किसी पत्थर की मूरत से मोहब्बत का इरादा है, परस्तिश की तमन्ना है, इबादत का इरादा है। तो उमा जी ने आज हमको जो इस अपने वक्तव्य में, व्याख्यान में पूरी कहानी बताएंगी कि हैदराबाद के जो चट्टाने हैं वो किन किन कहानियों को अपने में समेटे हुए हैं और उनसे हम क्या क्या संदेश ले सकते हैं, और उनके एक कलाकार के और एक वैज्ञानिक के दृष्टिकोण में उनके मंतव्य में क्या फर्क रहता है, किस तरह से वो लोग चट्टानों को देखते हैं और किस तरह से हम लोग देखते हैं। इन्हीं सब बातों को बताने के लिए उमा जी आज हमारे बीच में उपस्थित हैं। तो अब स्टेज आपका है उमा जी। थैंक यू।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। नमस्ते, आई एम सो हैप्पी टू बी हियर। और इतना पोएटिक इंट्रोडक्शन मेरा कभी भी नहीं हुआ इसके लिए भी बहुत शुक्रिया। थैंक यू so much for having me here today. Dr. Prakash, Dr. Kusumita, Dr. Devendra ji, all of you all, and everyone at the Institute. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a very special, session for me because you all come from such a different perspective on this whole matter that I care so passionately about. So for me, it's really very exciting to be here and to interact with this community. You know, I just want to say something in response to Dr. Prakash's joke also. You know, there is a joke when we started this film. Um, it was a huge challenge, a really monumental challenge. We had no idea how we would make this happen. Um, Nobody was interested. Nobody really wanted to make a film on rocks, but you know, I really wanted to do it. And in our research, one of the most fun little jokes we found is, you know, there's a saying about Hyderabadis that, you know, we wanted, when we learned about it, it's from this wonderful, you know, lady Lakshmi Devi Raj, who's an old Hyderabadi. And in meeting so many Hyderabadis and so many experts in the research for the film, we met her as well. And she said, देखो, ये याद रख लो हैदराबाद के बारे में, सुस्ती के आदि हैदराबादी. So, you know, we really, instead of, you know, feeling bad about it, we said, okay, this is a challenge for us. अब इससे तो लड़ना ही है. So, you know, that is how this whole film started, this whole project started, and, you know, learning about rocks and all that. And I'll speak more about that as we go on. But I thought I'd share that with you to start with. You know, when I heard from the institute that they would be interested in the film, I can't tell you how delighted I was. It was just कि देखो ये लोग हैं, you are the people who really know the material. You know, you really know it from such a deep and profound aspect that, you know, it's really very thrilling to hear that there is an interest in this film from a community such as yours. In fact, when I went to the website, I was amazed. You know, I find your work so exciting. I read this and I was like, my goodness, look at the profound work that is happening at this institute. It says, you know, on your website, how thick is the crust under Hyderabad? Now, who thinks of these things? Who thinks about this? Clearly you do, but you know, people like me don't know this. And it was so exciting to find out about it. And it said, recently scientists at the National Geophysical Research Institute figured it out. You know, how thick is this crust under Hyderabad? While doing so, they were able to pinpoint specific locations where the infrastructure is less likely to be damaged by earthquakes. Scientists from CSIR and GRI established 10 seismographs in and around Hyderabad to study the Mohorovic discontinuity. Or for those like me who find it difficult to pronounce the name of the Croatian scientist Moho, the boundary between the crust and the mantle under the Hyderabad region. This is so profoundly important, and I can't tell you, you know, I would love to know more about it. I would love it if there would be some sessions for the common folk like me to know more about this, because I think that will also help in this whole effort to keep what we have left. So with that, I will say a profound thank you to you for having me here today. I do come with the humility of knowing that there's so much that I don't know. And I do hope that our interaction today and hopefully future interactions will make an exchange happen. And, you know, some of that exchange from you to the populace will certainly be very important. Dr. Kusumita, when I first spoke with her, mentioned to me that, you know, the NGRI community would be interested to see the cultural approach to the rocks. I'd like to say a little bit about how I came to it. You know, it wasn't natural. Devenderji mentioned this, you know, my previous film that screened yesterday at Kochi, Muziris, the Biennial. And that is an interview-based documentary. It is about these young artists of the Tirugata, you know, which is a Kannada word for traveling around. It's a travel theater repertory. And they take plays, world-class plays, done in a world-class standards, to world-class standards around, you know, they perform in cowsheds, at school grounds, in theaters, at compounds, all kinds of places. And you know, that film was an interview-based film. We interviewed these 4 wonderful lead actors of that Tirugata in its 25th year. 25 years they had been doing it. Now it's 35 years. That film is, about 8-10 years old. And it worked beautifully. Interview-based documentaries worked beautifully. But when I came to this film about the rocks of Hyderabad, I thought, there needs to be a different approach. People may not relate to one more documentary where we tell them with experts about the geology, about the, the details of our rocks. And so in thinking how to do it as a filmmaker, that approach made most sense to me, and the way I came to it was, like I mentioned, we interviewed for about 2.5 years. The research went on for the documentary, and we interviewed scores of people, geologists, experts, environmentalists, poets, all kinds of people, in the hope of learning, because I started from a blank slate. I just knew I loved the rocks, and Hyderabad is my hometown. My grandfather settled here. He came from Karnataka and he settled here in Domalgura. So, we always were familiar with the rocks. And so that was, but I didn't know anything more and had to learn. Now, I thought, okay, if I am so interested in the rocks and this landscape of the city, how unique it is, how stunning it is, surely the senior, better, hamare jo puruk, the previous artists of previous generations, surely they must have felt the same and they must have left a tradition. And I wanted to find out more about that. And there was no information, nothing, that nobody we spoke to could tell us about this. How have the rocks been featured by other artists in earlier years and decades and centuries? And then what happened was Shankar Melkote, who's a very well-known person in the city, in theater, film, and in crafts and textiles. He's done a lot of work in the cultural sphere. And when he heard my question, he said, okay, come, I'll take you to a very important person, Shri Jagdish Mittalji, who also lives in Domalgura. It turns out he knew my grandfather, and it was amazing. He lived down the road from my house, but I did not know of this. And Jagdish Mittal Saab, he's a collector of world stature. It's enough for me to tell you, you all probably know about him, but for those who don't, it's enough for me to say that Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis visited him and saw his collection. So he's at that level. I know people in Dublin here at Trinity College who study his collection techniques and his collection vision, so he's at that level. And so when I met him, he's a wonderful, humble man. He was at that time 80 years old, but fit, and his brain was completely sharp. It still is at 90 plus. And when he heard my question, he immediately knew what I was asking. And from his collection, he took out this really a treasure trove of information. In Bidri, you saw the shot in the trailer. Bidri mein, the rocks are featured by the Bidri artists of our area. In Dakhani miniature paintings, they are there. The Ragini paintings, miniature paintings, they're beautiful. The rocks are like fantastically depicted. In that and in many other ways, he sort of revealed, it was a revelation, literally, that the culture has over generations and decades and centuries valued the rocks, shown love and respect for them. And we know that that is how cultures all over India are. If you could go to UP, you can go to Kerala, you can go anywhere, and you'll see that the culture, our songs, our traditions, our folk traditions, our crafts, our textiles, all showcase the landscape, have a deep tie with the landscape. And that was it. That was it. When I saw that, there was just a spark, an explosion in my mind that mil gaya, this is how we'll go about it. And I was very confident that it will speak to people, that to do it this way with our own beautiful culture, will make that connection happen where people will, respond to it. And so that was really the start of this, and since I was asked, to speak about the cultural imagination around the rocks in our area, I thought this would be a good introduction. So you'll know where I was coming from a place of nothing, of knowing nothing, but just wondering and wanting to know, and and then finding this real treasure. Um, so that was how it began. The other important thing I would like to share with you about the beginning of this film is, as Dr. Devenderji kindly has informed you, I was all over the world. I was studying in America and Delhi, all kinds of places. And then when I came back, I raised my children in Hyderabad. I was a young mother when I came, and they grew up here in Hyderabad. And it was wonderful because, there were these rocks all around us. We were in the Gachibowli area, and there were rocks everywhere. And we could, because we wanted to keep the children off the gadgets, TV, VV, and all that. So we used to, in our colony, all the mothers and fathers would, especially on weekends, we gather the children and go off on the rocks. There was the Society to Save Rocks that did these wonderful rock walks that we took them on. Then there is a Greater Hyderabad Adventure Club, and the Adventure Club would organize bouldering sessions and all this. And so it was great fun to do this. And then in that decade, 10 years, in front of our eyes, we saw all those rocks go. They just went. And today we know, where I'm sure you're all also coming from the airport into the city. There was a time when there were rocks all around. I have friends who would visit me, my relatives from all over the world, and I would take them to show them these rocks. My in-laws especially, would come, and Hyderabad is hometown for me. So for me, it was very proud to show my in-laws, ki dekho, ye hai Hyderabad. This is Idi, this is what we are proud of. This is our landscape. And there was great pride in it. And then this whole experience with the children and all. And then when it all got blasted now, if you come from the airport, there's just a few rocks that you see, which the government has lit up. And, it's still there a little bit. But that earlier grandiose spectacle of the rocks is not there. And then if you think of from what used to be the biodiversity park to In Orbit Mall, all that was rocks. And all of that is gone, as we know. Now, I want to make it very clear that I'm not an anti-development person. I enjoy the new airport as much as anyone. People need housing. We have, the compulsions of an urban, growing, vibrant city, and that's fine. We have to work with that. But, to lose such a profound geoheritage, which you all in this institute know so much about, and study, and, your work is steeped in it, to lose it is just not a very wise move. There's nothing wise about it. And so that was really the starting point of why I started making this film. It really started in grief, because the children would also, where, kaise chale gaye? Or how did these go? Who took them? Where are the peacocks? Where are the snakes that were here? They would have these questions and there was no answer. And so I thought, okay, let me make this is my skill, this is what I do. Let me make a small film where, we'll have a discussion with the children so that they will hopefully heal with it, talking about it, they'll feel better, and then we'll show it in their schools. I had a small plan. It was only as I learned and, figured out all these connections and the enormous environmental impact it has, how we can never get rocks back. Trees we can still hope to replant, but rocks, as you all know better than me, we can't. And so that grief was the starting of this film. And it became, as it grew and grew, the project, it became a bigger and bigger project. And now here we are today. I won't say it was a good thing, but it was a very important discovery for me that there is this Australian academic and researcher who you all might know better than me. His name is Glenn Albrecht. And he's written a book. He's written many books about this whole issue of how humans and human health is affected by the degradation of our environment. And he has coined this word, which I can't say happy to find out about, but gave me some peace, because I realized, okay, this is everywhere. It's not just my little, colony and what we are feeling. It is a broad worldwide phenomena. He coined this word called solastalgia. And I'm going to just read, just very quickly what is said about it. As opposed to nostalgia, the melancholia or homesickness experienced by individuals when separated from a loved home, which I often feel when I'm in Dublin. I miss Hyderabad and India so much. That is nostalgia. That is, a homesickness that we experience. Solastalgia is different. This is the distress that is produced by environmental change impacting on people while they are directly connected to that environment. You see, so this solastalgia is what I would say is the foundation of this film. The realization that it's gone, this environment, you can't recognize the face of your own home, of your own hometown. The landscape has changed so much. I was in Hyderabad just 2 weeks back, and for the film and the project, which I'll tell you more about. And it's still changing, it's constantly changing. And it really is, this quest is to find a way to save the remaining rock spaces in Hyderabad, so that we have a unique culture that is tied to this landscape. We have a unique city. No other city in India has this. And surely there are reasons to keep it. There's environmental reasons, ecological reasons, water resources. The rocky landscape, you all will know better, retains the water. We have lung spaces created in the city that will help our pollution issues. All this, you all will really know this very well. So this is the quest with this film project, starting from grief, finding all this information. And I must say that the information that we found in the research and the process of making this film has been a joy. Of course, there are challenges. What doesn't have challenges? Everything, you have to work at. But the rewards of it have been so great. It's been a joy to discover how our culture shows such affection. You saw that song, "In Nallani Ralalo." I tell you, I get goosebumps when I hear that song. It's so much respect and value is given to the rocks in that. And that's just one symbol of how the culture does this. I hope you all screen the film, and we will be glad to, usually we send a discussant, our outreach manager comes with it, and we have some people from the team who will come and share the experience. It's a very engaging event. I can guarantee you that from the experience that we've had so far. And I would love to screen it. You'll see that how different aspects of the culture have shown this respect and affection. And the need of the hour is really, my whole team feels this, is to, showcasing that respect, that value that the culture has given it, to bring that back, to bring that respect and affection back. Because many people, for us, sometimes, even for me, when I used to go to college and all, living from Domalguda, the rocks were all in the background. One never really realized it, one knew it, and we went on it and we played on it and all that good stuff, but they were always in the background. But now people who come don't even have that. The new people of Hyderabad, the new generation in Hyderabad doesn't even have that. Our children don't have it. So, it's important to keep the remaining rocks. And that is the reason this film has been made and this whole project is happening. So I'll talk a little bit about the process. About the process, the most wonderful thing, I would like to start with that, has been the way this team has grown. It was very interesting to find out. It's been really exciting to find out that people care. We think we're sometimes so jaded in our lives, running the house, raising children, doing the job, working there's no time for anything else. And you think people won't relate, they'll be too busy to think about all this. You know, that was one dimension that we had to factor when we started this project. But the discovery has been quite a revelation. People care, people connect, people want to help. And that's how this team grew. You know, that's how this film grew. Like I mentioned, I thought of a small film. But then as someone came and said, you know, told this folklore, the Yellama Renukamma story or the Kagazi Buj story of Golconda, someone said, and then we started thinking, oh, why don't we include this? And then we said, okay, let's do it with in animation, because now who can recreate these legends? So animation, who will do the animation? And then we had to approach people, and amazingly, people joined. People joined for love of the rocks, for love of the city and its culture and its landscape, which was amazing because we didn't have money. You know, I put in my own funds to start with, and then we went on. But initially, to even offer an honorarium, there was no money. Later on, what we did, and that was another education, we started a crowdfunding campaign. And I would love you to go to the website, otherkohinoors.com. We have uploaded these sessions that we did, and they're all free for anybody to see. This whole film is a free service film, is what I call it. It is a service to my hometown, and the team that joined has the same philosophy behind it. You know, there are other films, like you heard, The Players, it is doing well, the bread and butter comes there. This is service. And so you know, this whole team gathered, and as it gathered, it grew and grew and grew. There was folklore. Then we got the idea that, oh, let's do it in the local styles. Like, you know, Cherial is such a beautiful art form. Let's do the animation of Yellama Renukama in the Cherial style. And we had to find someone to do it. And she agreed, and she worked for a very small honorarium. Another friend did another animation for free. Like this, it grew. And the whole, you know, journey became like this whole learning, finding people, the people joining, and the people inputting such fabulous talent. And so I really have to give huge credit to this team behind this film. Yeah. And I mentioned the crowdfunding, and I'd like to tell you something. It was an education, like I said. We thought it's a crowdfunding we have to do now. How do you do it? We had no idea. We've never done it before, but we'd heard now everybody talks about crowdfunding. And so we said, okay, our style will be different. If we want to ask people for something, then we have to give them something also. You know, we can't just say, you know, give us money. That's not, it doesn't come natural to us. So then we said we'll do these sessions called the I Am Here to Wonder sessions. And actually, Devenderji's opening, you know, little bit of shairi, the song, the famous film song, Geet Gaya Patharon Ne. It was called that. The first session we did was called Geet Gaya Patharon Ne. You see, we were finding so much information about how different parts of the culture. So we found out many, many songs that show the same love for the rocks. And so in the session, what we did is we invited people, including Indian Idol stars from Hyderabad and all, who graciously agreed. Again, this is the spirit of this film. They graciously agreed. No money was given to anybody. You know, no payment was made. They all came to the session. It was all online. It was during COVID. And they sang such beautiful songs, you know, in Hindi, in Telugu, in English. And that was our first session. And in that, we were not very efficient in asking for money. You know, nothing much came from that, except, of course, the joy. Everybody enjoyed it. We got a lot of feedback and response, and the project grew because there was no monetary thing, but, you know, in terms of response, it was huge. And then with that, we got more people to work on the film. People said, okay, I'll sing for you, I'll do this for you. You know, so the rewards come in many ways, is a discovery also in this film. Then we did another session, and this time it was on cooking. So we said, Patthar ka gosht, you saw in the trailer, is a very famous Hyderabadi dish. For vegetarians, you know, I'm a vegetarian myself, so we do it, you know, there's a lovely dish from Karnataka where, batter is taken and cooked in little holes in stone. Gulla bhaji, we call it, or, so it's all over the south it is made. And so we did that. And we thought, let's extend this session to the landscape and how, landscape has affected the cuisine of the area. And every community, so many different communities have joined Hyderabad and have enriched Hyderabadi culture, right? The city's culture. And every community's cuisine, we discovered, has been affected by one thing for sure. Many things have been affected. There's been a give and take, but one thing was imli. The infusion of imli into the different cuisines of Marwadis, of Tamilians, of Kannadigas, of people from UP, the whole Kayas community that came here. So everyone's cuisine was affected by imli. And so we did cook along in that session of Safed Mirchi Ka Salan. This is when the imli is young and it's not yet turned brown. And that's a great specialty also in Hyderabad, as many of you all will know. So we had a wonderful lady who led the session, and that was a huge hit. And in that, we had a wonderful MC who pushed for crowdfunding, and we got a huge response. Not much, not big amounts, but a lot of people sent us little amounts, which was very precious. For me, one of the most precious contributions is from this young lab scientist, this girl who works at LV Prasad Labs, and she sent rupees 500. It is so precious, I can't tell you. Because what it means is what is important, that she believes in this effort, that she loves the rocks, just like all of you, and she cared enough to make that effort. So that's how we went about it. These sessions, you'll be interested to know, they were all supported by Goethe Zentrum. I mean, they ran the technical aspect of it. And I was reading this book called A Deep History of the Indian Subcontinent. It was a fascinating book. Again, for you all, it will be common knowledge, but for me, it was a real education. And when I spoke to the author, his name is Pranay Lal, he asked me to look up some other resources about, the history of the earth itself. And that led me to Goethe. Goethe himself, I believe, and this was in a talk, when he saw the majesty of the earth's rocks. These were not in Hyderabad, these were in Europe. But when he saw that majesty, he apparently it just came out of him. He said, I am here to wonder. It's so majestic, this performance, almost this gift, this blessing from the earth to us, to everything that's on earth, not just human beings. So, we titled those sessions the I Am Here to Wonder sessions. So the first one was I Am Here to Wonder, Geet Gaya Patrone. The second one was I Am Here to Wonder, the Kohinoor Kitchen Cook Along, which I just described to you. The third one was on rocks and art. And this, please, I really urge you, since the reason you all have invited me is to know about the cultural imagination around the rocks. This session is world-class, literally world-class. It has experts from all over the world. There are two main ladies, I'm glad to say, who talk about the rocks in Dakhini painting, and I can't tell you the fantastical shapes that you see, the colors, the rocks are in purple and pink and gold and brown, and it's just fantastic. And so please do, to follow up on this session, I would suggest go to otherkohinoors.com, go to the events section, and there you will find all the sessions, and the rocks and art session is also there. And I think you will enjoy it. It really is world-class information. Then our recent session that we did last year was called Sango Shairi. And this is all kinds of shairi on rocks, Dakhini, shairi mainly, because it is the Dakhan area. And that is also wonderful. You all can check it out when you have the interest and the time. So let me move on now. it went on like that. The challenges were there, of course, but the climax of this was that Ramesh Prasad Garu, who is the head of LV Prasad, as you all know, he gave us Prasad's IMAX free for the premiere. I mean, I can't tell you what a joy that was. And I will request our tech help team to please put on the PowerPoint just for one bit, and then we'll come back out to it. Could we have that PowerPoint, please? So this is the premiere pics. Can you believe this crowd on a Sunday morning at 10 o'clock for a documentary on rocks? Can you believe it? This was the crowd that came. They were standing, if you can see on the right, the door, they're sitting on the steps. The aisle is fully covered. There's a big aisle between these seats, but you can't make it out because people are sitting there. On the right side is the door. There were two doors. They told me later, we were standing on one leg and watching. This is for rocks. Y'all will be glad to know. This is for rocks. And it gave us, that's fine, thank you. Now we'll come back to the PowerPoint later, please. We'll do it later. We can get out of this now. Thank you. Yeah. So I just wanted to show you that premiere to show you and assure you, not only just show you, but assure you that your area, the study of the earth, has enormous value and people care about it. This is the evidence of it, that this whole process of the film that I've just described to you, where people just joined, they came, they worked, and then the climax of this premiere. And I'll talk more about the outreach that we are doing in a little while. And I really will try and wrap up soon so that we have some interaction. I would love it to be more interactive rather than me just going on. So Devenderji suggested that I should, talk a little bit about the challenges, and I will. There are always challenges. Fundraising is huge, as you know, and I've talked a little bit, and you're all more than well aware of it. You all write so many grants yourself and things like that. So, but I've mentioned to you that this film comes from a different space. It comes from a service space. So, the fundraising also has been kind of exciting and interesting and rewarding. Not just financially, but like I mentioned to you, in ways of other contributions. The one part of the challenge I can talk a little bit about is, physically in the actual production, in the actual shooting, there's always an issue with a woman filmmaker, and I'm very laid back. I'm not a very aggressive person, so it was always a challenge with the camera crew, especially to make them do as I wanted. So because I had on two occasions I had women camera people, and these were students of mine, so that was very easy. But for the major part of it, they were men, and even the assistant cameramen were men, and that was not a real issue, except that technical things always become this frenzy of knowledge and superiority and knowing, and this whole matrix happens. And it was interesting because these were all good guys and they were friends of mine, and it was all it wasn't a impossible challenge, but there were this issue which I think you all will like to know about. So they would say, oh, ye camera naya camera ab ye use kar rahe hain, this can do this also, let's do this also, this does shift focus for enormous depth of field, so let's do enormous shift focus. And my personality as a director is not, the film does not say, watch me, look at me. It's not that kind of film. And shift focus and these kind of effects that gadgets give you nowadays is not my real interest. I like seeing it when other people do it. I may use it sometimes myself, but I don't want the whole film to be like that. There's much more important, profound matter that has to be shared, which is enjoyable and beautiful. So I don't want the focus to go there. But these young assistant cameramen, they were all very interested and enthusiastic, so they would do it and and you're paying, like, for the camera, I had to pay, so for the lab, you have to pay. So there were all these financial considerations to do it fast and not waste time and the usual stuff. And so then it became a bit of a challenge that how do you, and also over 10 years, there were many different groups. So every time you had to sort of, inculcate the discipline to not go wild with the gadget and stay focused on the content and stuff like that. And so there, my solution was just to give explanations. That's the only way I know how to work. And so I would give long explanations. And, finally they said, oh my God, she's going to give another explanation. Let's just do it, So we managed. So that was one of the small challenges. I wouldn't say it was a huge challenge, but just to share that sometimes technical know-how can come in the way of work. And, sometimes there's a gender issue there as well, and sometimes not. So, women can also be as techno savvy and knowledgeable, thank God. And I myself, have to know stuff to edit and shoot and stuff. So, I'm not saying that's a great gender divide, but sometimes these things can happen. The more important challenge, and one that I'm very proud of, is in the content itself. So, for instance, I'll give you an example of the story, the folklore legend of Yellamma Renukama. So now this is a beloved deity, Renukama Yellamma, it's beloved in the region and all over the country, I think. And then what happened was the story is, I think you all know, and I don't want to tell the story too much, but it's Jamadagni, Parshurama, Renukama, and Yellamma. These are the main characters in the story. And usually when the story is told, it's told from the story of Jamadagni and Parshurama. These are, the sage is a wonderful sage, and Parshurama is one of the most, revered characters of our culture. And it's told from that angle. But Renukama and Yellamma are also there, right? And usually they are not given that much importance in the story. And so for me, when I first, in Hyderabad, there is in our whole area, actually, there is a tradition called Oggu Katha, the folk tradition of Telangana, where they perform the story, the folk story, as well as they sing it, with folk instruments. And it's a beautiful form of expression, of cultural expression in our region. I had taken my children to see this Renukama Yellamma Oggu Katha. And in that, when I saw, they were at the point where, so Jamadagni, at one point in the story, and you'll see it in the film, you'll see the whole story, but I don't want to get too much into it. Jamadagni asks Parshurama to behead Renukama, his own mother. Okay. And it is a moment of such trauma for this woman, for Renukama, and for Parshurama, of course, to be told to kill his own mother. And so she starts running from him, and he, because he's being obedient son, he chases her with an axe to behead her. And in that Oggu Katha performance, the lament at that point from Renukama was so moving. And they went on to say that she went all over the country. In some places, she turned into a tree, and then Parshurama made all the leaves fall, and she had to come out. In another place, she turned into a river, and Parshurama dried up the water, and she had to come out. In the Deccan, when she comes to the Deccan, and you all will know the Deccan crater and the whole plateau, she found the rocks. Okay, and in the rocks, she found Yellamma's house, and Yellamma was the most generous, kind woman, and she gave her shelter. And that's how the story goes on, But when I heard that in that Oggu Katha, I said, my God, look at this. And how much we value Yellamma and Renukama. Even today, they are the presiding, like, leading deities of our worship. And so, in telling that story, I did not want it to be only from Jamadagni and Parshurama's angle. I wanted Renukamma's trauma and her experience to be featured. I wanted the rocks to be featured. The rocks were so important, and here was a wonderful story. And I wanted Yellamma to be featured. Yellamma is a beloved deity, and even today people bring rocks home and worship rocks as Yellamma, So this was just a magical connect. And so The way I tell the story now, the way we wrote the animation, it's done in Cherial style animation, like I mentioned. And so we start with Yellama's, hut and the two women meeting, and then the story unfolds. So, the content also, if you come at it, you can infuse it with different meanings and make it richer. So as a woman, I found this was an added layer of richness that I could bring to that story. Okay, let me see what else. Yeah, let me just go over two more quick points, and then I'm going to really try and make this interactive if possible. So I would like to talk about the style of the film, which, like you all know by now, that it's very rooted in our cultural imagination around the rocks, the deep ties that human imagination and landscape has. And I didn't want interviews. I've mentioned it to you before, but we did need a narration. We need to have a way to tie a sutradhar of sorts, a narrator. And I didn't want some voice coming and telling every step of the way what you should think and what you should feel. That's not the way I like to tell a story. So we thought, okay, we also need to connect to younger people. So how shall we do that? We thought, oh, what do young people nowadays like? Music is very important to us. There's a lot of music in the film. We said, okay, so now let's do the narration in a rap song. Now, this was I can't even tell you what a leap of faith this was, because I have no idea. I'm not very musical. First of all, I enjoy lyrics more than music. Oh, hey, nee, that gene is missing in my DNA. And so, first that challenge, and then secondly, I have no clue about rap. I had no clue about rap. So that was another whole learning. And here too, I must say, people just came forward. Friends gave suggestions, this, that, and we found this wonderful young DJ, Murto. His name is Murti, actually. He's called DJ Murtovic. Like that man, like the Croatian scientist name, he has a VIC at the end. Yeah, the one that is mentioned on your website. So DJ Murtovic, out of the kindness of his heart, his love for Hyderabad, he's settled here now, though he comes from a Chennai background. And he said, I'll do it. I'll compose the song for you. So that was a huge, huge contribution. Then I have a dear friend, Usha Raman, who's the head of the communication department at University of Hyderabad. And I know her, through teaching together and stuff like that. And so I said, Usha, and she's a poet of Hyderabad, so she's written in that research that I mentioned. She was also one of the persons that we interviewed, and she shared many poems that she's written on the rocks. So, that was, so I said, Usha, can you write a song for us that we can make into a rap? And she said, okay. It was wonderful, people just agreed. So then she wrote the song, it was all in English. So it was wonderful, but all in English. And I didn't want only English. I said, we are not only English, we are also Dakhni, we are also Telugu. Why should we do that? And so we've written a trilingual song, a rap song. And I cannot tell you the number of musicians who have contributed to it. If you again go on the website, there's a button called Song Lore, and you'll enjoy these young musicians, how they've contributed, etc. If you're interested, you can look that up. So that was how we did the narration. What I'd like to do is maybe request that you share the video of the rap piece. So the narration goes all through the film, and there are 4 pieces of the rap song that narrated. But one piece that I'll show you now is called it's about the neighborhoods. How in our imagination. 1 minute, sorry. sorry. Once I start talking, I don't stop. This is a big problem. Thank you for stopping. I'll just tell you, all I wanted to say was the rap song comes in 4 parts in the film, and this is only one part. And this has to do with how the city's imagination, the sensibility of the city connects with the landscape in the nomenclature of the city. There are so many places in the city, in English, in Dakhini, in Telugu, that is connected in the way we have named it. Bora Banda. Banda in Telugu and Kannada means rock. And so Bora Banda that's the name of the place. Bandla Guda, the Guda of Bandlas. That's where literally, it's a bit of the song that you can please hear now and enjoy. Thank you. Please play it, and I'm sorry for creating that confusion.
Bora Banda Bora Banda Habshigoda Bandla Goda Nana Kram Goda Habshigoda Bandla Goda Nana Kram Goda गली कूचे में बसा है घर के पते में बसा है गारे मुबारक घर घर मुबारक लाला गोड़ा हैदर गोड़ा नारायण गोड़ा वर्सी गोड़ा पाटी गड्डा एर्रा गड्डा पारसी गुट्टा नल्ला गड्डा रॉकी हिल्स चंद्रायन गुट्टा पंजा गुट्टा नौबत पहाड़ गगन पहाड़ गंगा बोली का पहाड़ The music of our rocks can be heard today in the calls on our buses and the voices on our trains.
And deep in the rhythm of the pelting rain.
Habshigoda Bandla Goda Nana Kram Goda.
And deep in the rhythm of the pelting rain.
Habshigoda Bandla Goda Nana Kram Goda.
సౌమ్య తెలుగులో చెప్పు నా గుండెల్లో దాచుకున్న ఈ పేరులు భారమైన రసమయమైన अरे दखनी में इच बोल अन्ना दखनी इच बोल तुझे चढ़ी क्या तू अपना इच बोल तेरा शेर दखनी तू दखनी इच बोल तेरा शेर दखनी तू दखनी इच बोल सारा दखनी समाया है इनमें दक्कन देखो नामा में
क्या नामा है कैसे नामा है रस भरे दम भरे जान हंसी कहानी भरे बोरा बंडा अड्डा गुट्टा
వెంకటేశ్వర గుట్ట
నల్ల గుట్ట
జగద్గిరి గుట్ట
బిర్యానీ షటేకరి మూసా టేకరి గౌళి గుడ నామాల గుండు రామ్నగర్ గుండు కాచిగూడ కోహే ఇమాం రాజా కోహే కయా అమ్ముగూడ భోయిగూడ దోమల్గూడ పుప్పుల్గూడ బీరంగూడ ఖాజాగూడ 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 ఖాజాగూడ
నా గుండెల్లో దాచుకున్న
రాసా మాయమైన ఈ పేరులు
So
Thank you, ma'am.
that was just one example of how, the rocks are interfacing with our culture. So how much time do we have? I would
Can we have, ma'am, it's a wonderful, your PPT video and all. Can we now have the interactive session?
Yeah. So I'd like to quickly, if there's time, go through that PPT to show you, and I won't talk through it. We'll just flip through it. That is just part of the outreach that we're doing now. And I want you to see the kind of places, different diverse spaces that we are covering. So can we have that? We'll just scroll through it really quick. Don't play the videos, just scroll through it and y'all will just see it, get an idea of the kind of spaces.
Yeah, sure. ma'am.
But the first time I saw this, I was so excited, and the 45 very effective.
Yeah, you can close that, and I'll conclude with that. Those videos were about the response, and I think you all will be very happy to know the response has been for great love, a lot of love, a lot of response saying how much people do value the rocks. So I think you all will be glad to know that. And I'll conclude now, and we'll do the interactive bit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a thought-provoking and marvelous talk. And the trailer and your PPT are like marvelous. They are luring us to watch your entire film as soon as possible. Thank you so much. And we can take a couple of questions if anybody can. Ah, can you give the mic, please?
So I joined director and you first to greet all the colleagues and including you on International Women's Day, which is being celebrated though maybe 15 hours after that it might have been in US. But what I would like to first compliment you and also convey the message that through your passion, you have shown that women are not only worried or looking for the life what we see today, but even the things which does not have life. So you have shown the broadness of the heart of the woman by showing affection to uh, uh, the stones or rocks of the Hyderabad. So thank you very much. We had learned about it through the Naren Luther's book you might have also read, and many more things. I would also like to add one thing which you might be uh, liking it, that 2.5 billion, what I see in the trailer of the movie, also marks the time in the evolution of the life. And the life, the evolution changed having cyanobacteria at that time. And that's how we connect the 2.5 billion rocks of the Hyderabad, having our open rock museum in our campus. And we invite you to be with us. On this day, when we celebrate the achievements of the women and look forward that they come much more in a much more way, particularly in the science and research domain, but you would like to learn from you with your varied experiences across different parts of the world. What message would you like to give to all of us, and particularly to the young women researchers, kind of the problems you have confronted with to come out of that so that we make our life better in this campus and certainly through this campus, whole world.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you so much. I would definitely like to visit and see your rock museum. It sounds fabulous. So I'll make it a point. I'll be coming soon to Hyderabad and I'll reach out and we'll do that. You know, I'm sure the lady researchers, the young lady researchers, will have things to share with me also. So this cannot be a one-way thing. We all have, you know, our own challenges to overcome, whether it is societal, family, health. My message, if I have a message, my films are my messages. I don't really talk about that, you know, but I would say find a passion and follow it. That's the only way you can overcome these obstacles. These obstacles are there. You cannot wish them away, you know, whether in the workplace, in social life, in personal relationships, with your children, you know, there are challenges everywhere in work, in improving your own skills, you know, skilling yourself up. There are so many challenges, and you need time and energy and effort. And to take that time and energy away from, you know, we have huge priorities in our personal lives as well, right? We do have those living things to take care of, as you mentioned, sir. But if you have that passion and if you follow it, I find that you find ways to negotiate those challenges. And that would be a key takeaway for me in my life over the years of doing all this, that, you know, you follow it, and don't give up anything else, because your life must be rich and filled with all aspects. So, you know, at the end of the day, we don't want to just have one thing to hold on to. We have varied things in all of our lives, men and women. And so finding that passion and following it is the only way.
Anybody else would like to have information from her? Okay, if nobody is there, then we will, with your permission, ma'am, can we move towards the important occasion, which is to felicitate the women achievers of CSIR in GRI. So with
Wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful. I look forward to it.
Thank you. And I now request our director to come on to the dais to felicitate our women employees. In this, we have 7 categories. Those are like scientific, technical, postdoctoral, DST women centers, doctoral supports, doctoral and support staff, and essential services. So in this, I would like to first call upon Dr. N. Satyavani. Maybe she is not here because of her unavoidable engagement. So I request Dr. Prakash Kumar, sir, to speak a few words about this. Okay. Yeah, we will now move to the next category, that is technical officer. Can I just invite Dr. Swarnapriya Chaudhary, technical officer, gravity and magnetic division, gravity, magnetic and paleomagnetic division. I invite her to the dais. I request Dr. Averam Bansal, sir, to speak a few words about her. Okay, as Dr. Bansal is not there here, I can speak about her because she's from my division only. So she's a, she's a very good worker, and she recently finished her PhD, and she's very, very efficiently processing the gravity and magnetic data. So congratulations, Swarnapriya. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I am excited and happy to invite my close friend, Dr. K. Chandrakala, DST women scientist, and I request her to come on to the dais.
Yeah, congratulations, Dr. Chandrakala. She is a very silent worker, and she publishes a lot of work in the last few years. I have been seeing her in our division, that she really works very rigorously on deep seismic data set, which is a very huge amount of data, but slowly and very calmly she completes the very rigorous the waveform modeling and ray tracing. And then when I've seen that whatever, because she never exposes herself, this is the work I did publicly. But nowadays, when I joined that group, then I found that really she did a lot of work in a very good reputed journals. The amount of data published, the amount of publications, which actually, in fact, I found that she is one of the scientists in our division, deep seismic sounding, where she publishes continuously publishing the data set. So I found that she's really very much contributing to the one of the divisions in the NGRI where people are not many people are coming and contributing to the subject. So I think her contribution is really praiseworthy and remarkable. For this, I congratulate her once more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Next is Miss Aarti Panikar, Doctoral Fellow. I request Dr. M. Ramohan, PI and guide to speak about her.
Good evening, all. Compliments to Aarti and other achievers, women achievers. I just want to say only one thing because organizers asked me to be very brief. Her approach is that she wants to means never give up or never give up. That's the only word which I can say. And she's always very cool, and especially in the field or in the laboratory. Often in our labs, we used to spend, especially she's working these days in Tim's lab, we had to spend long hours and late evenings and all. She's very passionate and learn a lot of new things. And this year we're expecting her PhD as well as 3 more new publications. Good luck, Aarti.
Thank you, Ramohan Garu. Thank you. I now invite Ms. Rohini, Administration Section, for her wonderful support. I request Mr. Satishji, AO, to speak about her. Because of the time constraint, we will have a brief discussion.
Happy Women's Day. Mrs. Rohini, she is handling the GST of this institute across all the entities like GST department, stores and purchase, various scientific groups, and stores and purchase, and our accounts. Secondly, she is vigorously pursuing clearing of OBs, of something like 11-year-old OBs, with the help of, I think, under the guidance of Dr. H.V. Satyanarayana, then FAO Anil Kumar. Plus, she is working on taking care of her children alone here. I think her husband is way off somewhere. Please give a clap to her.
Congratulations. The next felicitation is for Ms. Samina, Technical Officer, Information Section. She is also not available, so I request Diljit to receive from Director Sir, and I request Dr. Devendra to speak some words for her.
First of all, a very happy International Women's Day to all, and congratulations to Samina In fact, the information division building is standing on two pillars, and one is the who is being felicitated, and the other is who is receiving the prize on her behalf. And about Samina, actually, it's a very challenging job in information. Means she works, I can say, day and night. Means there is no time limit for us that it is only 9 to 5 job or 9 to 5:30 job. Many times it has so happened that at the night, 11 o'clock or early morning, we had told her that, okay, it has to be done. And she has done it actually. She sees that the work is done as and when it is given to her. Even today, she left early in the morning, but you might have received the email reminder and all. So she has made arrangement yesterday itself for all the things to be done automatically today. So she is that kind of dedicated worker whom we feel means I am proud of it to have her in our division actually. And congratulations that she has been recognized for this work. Thank you.
Thank you. And with lot of respect, I now invite Dr. Preeti Shah, physiotherapist in our dispensary under essential service category. So I request Dr. Babu sir to speak few words about her. Or if not, Dr. Devendra. Acha, Dr. Tiwari sir. I sincerely request you to talk. I can say a few words about her. Sorry, sir.
So I would speak on the behalf of all the patients who had been given therapy by Dr. Preeti. And very recently, you might have seen I made an accident during the INSA meeting, and almost 2 months I had to tie my hand, and now it moves thanks to her. And during that time when I interacted her, I had to seek 1 or 2 day prayer appointment because I realized that she is not only making people physically relieved from pain, but also emotionally people get rid of pain. And that's the biggest services she had been offering through our dispensary. And I thank her on behalf of all of you for doing this. And thanks, Director, for recognizing her services.
Really? Congratulations, doctor. I now invite K. Sunita Garu, senior most person in the garden, from the garden and horticulture section. If she is present, Sunita Garu Unnara. Pilandi. So I request Tirupati Garu to speak few words about her. If Tirupati sir is available. I think a round of applause to her because our institute is so beautiful because of these people.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Women's Day. For last 10 months, I'm observing she is not only she, but others also very sincere and hard worker and dedicated also. And she is this year we recommended Sunita for this awards. Happy and
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So before, like I would call upon Dr. Kusmita, for vote of thanks. I would just share a small funny thing. Please bear with me. It is totally on a lighter note. It is like just pay little attention. Female is designed by God to receive, and whatever she receives, she incubates, multiplies it, and gives it back to the male. She was built to do like that. If you give her a house, she multiplies it and gives back to a beautiful home. If you give her a groceries, she multiplies it and gives back a delicious meal. And if you give her a frustration, she multiplies it, and you all know the result. Thank you very much, and I call on now Dr. Kusmita to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Kusmita?
This is good news for all the outsourced women staff working in this institute. So for your matters, actually to smoothen your matters here, the director has been pleased to appoint a coordinator. Actually, the coordinator will be Miss Farveen Begum, technical officer, who will be coordinating your course, and she'll be working closely with Tirupati sir, who is the in charge of HLS section. And in the times of her absence, there is an alternate officer that will be Miss L. Manjula. I think this is the Women's Day gift to the women outsourced staff of NGRI.
Great thing. Thank you. And I would now request Dr. Kusmita to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, and we have come to the end of this year's program of International Women's Day. It's my pleasure to thank you, Oma, for your discourse on the rocks in cultural imagination. And I thank you also for taking the time out to go to our website and reading more of what NGRI does on Hyderabad rocks. And yes, Doctor has issued you an invitation, and we hope that you will be here with us to see how we look at rocks or what we try to learn from them. And I thank each and every person present in the hall today. In the small microcosm of our NGRI, I think we have seen this International Women's Day program grow and widen in its meaning. And I think it's a very proud moment that we are using this time to recognize people's contributions, each of which are very important in totally diverse aspects. And I'm sure this is true for men and women both, everybody, in fact, and there should be occasions when we recognize it for everyone. We've sat with women and we have come to a structured program to the extent that Mr. Satish, the AO, has made a new announcement. So that's a further positive step towards, increasing the comfort in the working environment, which is a fundamental step towards empowerment. So with that positive note, thanks to everybody who has worked so hard and the jury who has prepared this list. We thought we would introduce the jury also, but I think Dr. Ravi Kumar, who was chair of the committee, is not here. So anyway, a lot of time has gone over the last weeks to prepare this, and thank you for being with us on this day. There'll be a photograph of all the award recipients. With Director, I request you to come to the dais. And
You please carry a certificate to have a photograph. That's it. One can. That's it. That's it. That's fine. Thank you. Now. B. After we are going to have a national anthem now, and after the national anthem, we will please join us for a cup of tea, high tea in the car parking main building. So now, shall we raise for the national anthem?
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind. Thank you, one and all. Let us meet at car parking main building for a high tea.